see that before. It says live in 3 minutes. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm confident we're gonna need the external charger. I can't remember how to do that. Go back in there. Published. Oh, there we go.
Talking to the people in the audience.
It's on.
Hey, how about that? I didn't how I got here. As a young girl, my mother left when I was about 8 years old. I had to grow up real fast. I had to grow up real fast. And growing up real fast, I developed through all of these struggles, struggle after struggle after struggle. And at some point, I thought I had to realize, or at some point, it became real clear that if it was going to be, it was what? Up to me. It's mentorship. Mentorship is huge. When I was going through this challenging time, mom wasn't there, my dad was there, my grandmother was there, the wrong places, partnering up with people and doing things, but I always wanted to win. I had this real powerful business plan. So, guess what? He ended up, okay? And, I ended up with the federal of my life. What if that person who was in my life had been a stockbroker and a credit game so that we could get the money that we needed at the time? Relationships are very important. And the relationship with the people and what they know, and it's a wealth building platform designed to engineer Black millionaires. Because we don't know enough about credit. We don't know enough about business credit. We don't know enough of assistant. You need an assistant. You need a graphic designer in a company. The challenge is a lot of us, we don't have the money. We don't have the know-how that we actually want. So for me, I thought about things, conferences, and everyone was talking happening too, and they had to create a ball. You have to say, you come into the mirror, we assess you. Later, there's another assessment. This is because see, every time we're so big, never really get to fully. And the reason I'm here today is because I don't have time to get into the whole platform, right? And that was so that a year she had my feet in the ground. They said, and when she was talking, shortly thereafter, because of her knowledge, you want to know why? Because you're that you have the mentorship. The conversations, our mission is that we engineer. Yes, that's a great idea. Yes. So we have the whole schematic. What you do, money. Okay. It's like the law of attraction. We're able to tell years and stuff I've heard people say today. Now, once you have the money, you have this other little thing called like you working. Most people I talk to when I said actually has something, I was going to be mad when he said we're scared. We're scared to be willing to get in. The person said if you don't show whatever it is that you got to do to be you, make it your million. How could you possibly become to where you are, from where you are to where you are? I live a lifestyle today, baby. We just got, you can take 2 cents, 20 cents to do it yourself. So why, whatever it is, taxation. That a lot options is a little bit more complicated. You have strategies with the I've seen people, I've sat with people, millionaires, have this conversation because I'm looking for to be a part of a team and to live in excellence. Another thing that's really near and dear to our home, that the Black thing, where people are becoming to formulate, and then we have to take so forth that it's becoming bigger funds on the corner of the street. See, I grew up in the neighborhood, amazing people that I've been. There was brilliant minds. And you know what? Business credit, information side of you, and I'm all about radical life in every aspect of your life. That's the most important thing. You connected, not CEO movement, because that takes us to my sister who water that we drinking, and lifestyle, and then it becomes more so that we understand how to radical wealth, so that you can get radical.
Fantastic. For those of you who don't know, we have another speaker, coach, educator, hashtag parent power. Triumphant Jones.
And I am a mom. So children that have this or go to read. Poor mom is of raising scholastic, work all day. So 2 sons, swaying for 3 hours and so challenging. And then 20, he cried away from me. And I just couldn't understand why I began to develop language that mommy, and here was my young to be around 18 months old, something wasn't right. He's fine. He's saying 5 bizarre words. So I went to work and one of these people, go to other people, he was coming to me, and they said, he's not okay. I am oh. I'd start with Mary Ann. The nutrition said he's okay. I don't know what to do. There's a great speech. I was a speech therapist that I worked with. Kiss her in the room. And I got a therapist from I heard that you're 6. What am I going to just? And they said, is it and we made it. The kitchen overlooked. And there was a pork string on. He was sized that many. He looked up at don't have to tree top and the holiday children went into tree. It was time to take it back. Hot, not too. Where needles, warm shower, trees. It's that time. I had an opportunity to interview this book. Chrono with. My home life is very. There was never any sitting and copy this book. This. I never heard of this. Is this even fixable? I mean, we got through that language delay, and she assured me that it was fixable, but it was going to take a lot of each brushing session will take 30 minutes. That's correctly 5 times a day. She said, teachers, counselors, the brushing program session. Wow. With other adults, buy into. He'll be months old until 18 years old from high school. It's an incredible. It's amazing. I have today because as an acronym, a lot of power. You, my son, that's critical. When my coworker told me he needed to be brushed 5 times a day, I had to stay open to that treatment. So always stay open and flexible. The W in having a child that had special services for 18 years, I encountered some people that I wasn't too fond of, so that they could use their expertise to move my son in that next level of his development. So remember to work with the team. IEP or any type of special services, you're going to get a lot of documents. Ignore those documents. Know what's in them. And also, questions. Why are we working on this? What do you expect my speech therapist is working on? Go home and practice those development, and that helps them move forward even faster. So please go ahead and text the word POWER to 48 for your free gift. So go ahead, 848 to receive your free gift. Text the word POWER to out.
Did you all get caught up in her stories?
Yeah.
I was sitting like that. You dropped the mic. I'm trying to pick it up and put it back together. I'll be honest with you. The subject matter, passionate about it, who can bring it to. Now, the next speaker, when I talk about passion, is going to come up next, because she wants to help you win. Another Pfeiffer is going to come up and guess what? She works with girls. She actually has a nonprofit working with girls called Blessed Girl. Now we're going to you can close the presentation, close the light comes on. But we're going to let her do that in a minute. But don't worry, we're to help you win. How many of you want to win? Say I do.
I do.
Oh, y'all can do better than that. How many of you want to win? Say I do.
I do.
Now I believe you. So,
All right, let's get this started. We got to get our technology together. Thank you. That's good. That's good. That's good. It's working, right?
Getting the signal.
Oh, you're right in the blank. Is it there? Okay. Oh, yeah, you're seeing it.
Ready?
Okay. Good afternoon. Hello, technology. Hopefully I'm not blocking. They could say, but women winning in excellence, okay? Yes. All right. So I actually have some, this is not good, guys. I might have to just wing it.
Yeah.
Click yes.
What's wrong?
What you think?
Oh.
It's not working for me. Okay.
You had it in a good spot.
No,
It's gotta be on the screen.
Is it showing?
Yeah, it's on.
No, that's our screen, that's our screen.
Oh,
Winning, right? And it's doing it all right. Black women, right? And I am talking to women that love it. Behind the winners. Make sure you can see me, right? So these are just greatness.
Yes.
Right? These are women doing amazing things and doing it in excellence. Did y'all
Yes.
saw this year? Like, yes! Women doing it, women of color doing amazing things. So when you think about winning women, who do you think about? These were just some of the images that came to my mind, right? So I wanted just to share them with you. And you'll probably share some of these as well, right? So these are just some of the people that I think of. Historically, Althea Gibson, amazing tennis star, right? Look, Miss USA, a sister of color, women winning in excellence, inspiration, these young, amazing gold medalists, doing it, right? Amazing. Anybody know who this is here? Oprah, right? Who doesn't know who Oprah is? Auntie Oprah, I like to say. Auntie Oprah. But in all different areas, different arenas, these are women doing it big, women winning in excellence. And that's just what we're talking about here with BlackCEO. This is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. She said it's time for women to stop being politely angry. It's time for us to do amazing things, to be the winners that we are, and continue to do that. I'm going to move through these quickly because y'all know I'm on time. There's a lot to get.
You're doing good.
I'm doing good. All right. Amazing. These are women winning women in excellence, the WWE. That's what I'm talking about. So BlackCEO, we have our own WWE. I know they have the wrestling, whatever y'all. But we have here today our own women winning in excellence. Now here's the thing. You see, these again, just some images that I thought about, right? I'm sure you have your own. Anybody have anyone else that comes to mind? Women winning?
Yes. All the women in Black Panther, I'm just saying.
Wait. I got you, girl. Look, come on now. I'm not going to do this right now.
Show what you can.
Come on. Now, how we talk about WWE? Women winning in excellence. You think I got them in here? Wakanda forever. Come on now. Women warriors, women winning in excellence, right? So that's just, again, some images. But here's what I'm going to tell you. In my time with you today, what I want you to see and to consider is yourself. I want you to know and understand that you're the winner. The winner is inside of you. So when we talk about WWE, right, I want you to see yourself as the winner. All right, yes, we go. Now we see, got the challenge here. Let's see if I can get back.
There we go.
Perfect. Woo, good stuff. All right, so see yourself as a winner, right? So who do you think of as a winner, right? And Zig Ziglar says this, listen, we were all born to win, but you got to plan to win.
Come on.
You have to prepare to win,
Come on.
and you have to expect to win, all right? So I want you to say this with me. I must plan to win. Come on.
I must plan to win.
I must prepare to win.
I must prepare to win.
And I must expect to win. Come on.
I must expect to win.
That's right. So there's some things you got to do. Now, you were born to do it, but there's some things you got to do. You got to plan, prepare, and expect. Now, I had the opportunity, we talked about Auntie Oprah, I call her my auntie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a little backstory. You guys know she was raped at the age of 9, right? Became a mom, a teenage mom. She lost her son. So when we talk about overcoming, now we see her now, but we don't know all that she overcame as a woman, right? She was actually fired from her first anchor job, right, in Baltimore, Maryland, right? And the boss told her, had the nerve to tell her she was unfit for TV. What you talking about?
Come on.
Who unfit for TV?
Come on.
Come on, winning women, okay? Women doing it big. The
Yes.
WWE, right here. This is what I'm talking about, right? So again, I want you to see yourself. See yourself as a champion. See yourself as a hero that you are, right? So she, against all odds, right? I mean, she suffered humiliation, molestation, sexual abuse, all kinds of things, right? And here's the thing, I love this. She said, you gotta think like a queen. A queen is not afraid to fail.
Right.
Do not be afraid to fail. And failure is just a stepping stone to your greatness.
Come on.
So how do you become successful against all odds? That's what the WWE do. Women winning in excellence against all odds, right? So that's Auntie Oprah, right? But I want to introduce you to another young lady. Woman, she was born, major dreams. She was going to have a big impact on the world, right? But here's the thing, life happens, right? Yeah. So inside the confines of her own home, she was told, you are beautiful. You are amazing, right? But when she stepped outside the doors, y'all know, people, who are you? Your nose too big, your hips too big, your hair too nappy. All of these things that she was told, right? But she knew that she was a winner, right? But here's the story, This young lady, she by age of 26, dropped out of college. Yes. But she went back to school. Right? And when I tell you, who am I talking about, right? Because I want you to understand that the story doesn't stop there. That's your girl right here. This is your blessed girl, right? So you don't understand the story because I'm talking to women winning in excellence. So that's just a little bit about my story because I want you to understand who I am. I want you to understand a lot of times we see the finished product. Y'all see her looking all good there with the red lipstick on, but y'all don't know the backstory from here, from 5 to where she is right now. Okay? So again, see yourself as a winner. Now there are 3 areas that we have to focus on, right? 3 areas that I want you to understand that you have to overcome in order to win against all odds, Number 1 is fear. Yes, you gotta overcome fear. Every one of the winners that we saw, they all had fear. Come on, could you imagine? I mean, let me tell y'all, just me standing up here talking to y'all today, I had to overcome fear. Can we be real? Right? So all those gold medalists, I mean, there's always something, y'all know that your heart is pounding, your hand is sweaty, right? Like whatever that feeling is, but you gotta face your fear. You gotta face your fear and move on. Don't let fear stop you. You gotta be aware of your fear and don't let it stop you, all right? So do it afraid. Y'all say, do it afraid, all right?
Yes.
Do it afraid. My sis right here, the eyewear. Yeah, Do it afraid, sis.
That's right.
That's right. You got to do it afraid. So you have to overcome fear. Don't let fear rule you, right? False evidence appearing real.
Come on.
So that's the number 1 is fear. You got to overcome fear. Number 2 is loss. Any of those amazing women that we saw, you think they didn't experience loss?
Come on.
Absolutely they did. I mean, you can lose a family member, we lose our children, we lose in divorce, you might lose in an investment. There's so many ways, but you can't let that stop you. One thing I say is once you know how to win, you don't sweat a loss because you just move to the next. Once you know how to do it, you know how to move on to your next win. All right? So never let loss stop you. This one right here, objections. Oh, Lord, the people in the stands, they gonna always object. They don't even understand why you watching today. They don't even understand why you in these chairs today, right? What you going to Virginia? What you doing again? Right? I y'all hear them? They be talking to y'all too?
Yeah.
They don't understand. What are you left that job? Right? That good six figure, that good job to do what? To speak, to write books, girl, you must be crazy. Objections, right? And when to overcome that, this is really a key thing. Going back to Auntie Oprah, she says that you have to get around people who root for your rise.
Ooh,
all right, you gotta get around people who root for your rise in order to overcome the objectives, because they're always gonna be what they call them the ankle biters. The people who don't know no better, right? they measure rooting for our rise. So WWE, you gotta have people that are rooting for your rise. All right. So we gotta overcome objections. It has to happen. I promise you that, right? So again, imagine all those winners that we saw. You think people, they didn't understand. You training, you back in the gym, you sacrificing. I mean, even just looking at some of the Olympians, their whole entire family, the father had to move across country, had to invest money for them now to be gold medalist Olympians, right? So a sacrifice, people are not gonna understand. WWE, they're not gonna understand, right? So we're talking about winning, right? And the thing is, most people, it's a common place to object. Right? It's common to say no and to think, I can't do that. And you shouldn't do that. But you guys know that with my WWE, my winners at, we know that we are overcoming all objectives, and we are going to get connected to everybody in this room, to women and men rooting for our
rise.
That's right. Come on, talk to me. So who's ready for the next win? Thank you. Talk to me. All right, so here we're gonna go right now, real quick. I want you to take your phone out. And I want you to text WIN, right? The word win, because we're talking about winning. WIN. I want you to text it to 321-204-2533. All right, so the word win, WIN, to 321-204-2533. And the thing is, I know that winners have to take action. You can't just sit in that chair and say you're a winner and you ain't doing nothing. All right, even coming to conferences, even listening, you can get all this information, but you have to take action.
Right.
And I'm here to talk to you about you taking action to your next step. All right, so again, that's just on the board there. And understand, I have a free gift. Who loves free? Come on, free. This free is from me. Okay, so I have an awesome free download. I have 2 of them for you to talk about your next steps to your next win. So make sure you do this. All right, so now you got down the number, you got down the keyword. Now get your pens out. Right? So we're gonna talk about WIN. All right, WIN. Win. W is for work. I'm gonna tell you right now, you gotta put in the work. It's not just gonna happen overnight. You have to put in the work. And let me tell you, work is identified as this. It's defined as activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or a result. You gotta put in the work. Remember, all those winners, they had to put in the work, guys. It's not gonna just come easy. You have to listen. You might endure some injuries. You might endure some setbacks, but you gotta keep on working, all right? So that's my W, work. Real talk, I'm gonna keep it real. You're a blessed girl, I'm gonna keep it real. You gotta work, okay? I, intensity. Am I intense?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, I am intense about your win. I'm intense about your win, sis, okay?
Yeah.
Intensity.
Come
you know,
on.
so common, people are like, that just don't work. Honey, I guess not. Get some life in you. Where's your passion? Where's your fire? Right? So when I come in the room, I'm changing the atmosphere. Because I'm bringing the fire. How about you? I'm bringing the intensity. This is what we do. So listen, so intensity is a quality or state of being intense, extreme, passionate, the energy. You bring the energy when you are a winner. WWE, we bring the energy. We are intense, okay? Now, here's it. I don't know what else to say. I just put it up there. Never give up. You can't get to a win. You can't become that gold medalist. You can't wear that crown, baby. You can't make that big money. You can't do it if you give up, if you quit. Never give up. All right? Never give up. So we got it. W, work. I, intensity. N, never give up. So now again, who do you think is the winner? We showed some folks, but now when I say who is the winner, who's the winners in the room? Me. All right. So listen, so I want you to say, I am a winner.
I am a winner.
Now listen, that was good. That was good, I'll tell you. But y'all in the room with the blessed girl. All right. Listen, y'all better let them know over in, what's the room they over there? Yeah, I don't know what the room
The main
is. What's the
room.
name of it?
Main room.
The main room. We need to let them know in the boardroom that we are the winners and we doing some big things over here, right? So I want y'all to say it, loud. Let them know next door, upstairs, outside, that you are a winner. On 3. 1, 2, 3. WWE, all right? Yeah. So again, you got to get to your next win. You are a winner. I am a winner. You watching, you are a winner. It's something I'm so passionate about. Helping women to understand you are a winner. So often we play small. We think we just are the supportive role. No, baby, you are the leading role. You got the goods, right? And that's what I'm about. That's what this WWE is all about. So here's what I want you to do. Right? Now we talked about rooting for your rise. So everybody got somebody? Everybody got somebody? All right, look at somebody, right? So first of all, I want you to tell your sister or your brother, I'm rooting for your rise.
I'm rooting for your rise.
I'm rooting for your rise. I am rooting for your rise.
I'm rooting for your rise.
Right? We're doing this, right? stand up, stand up, stand up. All right? So now, I am a winner, right? But the thing when we say about the WWE and doing it in excellence, it's not just about you.
That's right.
Now, I need you to see the winner. I need you to see the winner in your neighbor. I need you to see the winner in your sister, in your brother. So I want you to look to another person. We're rooting for the ride. Now go find somebody else. Move on, move on. Right?
You're phenomenal. You're rising to the top. You're going all the way, baby. I see you going. You're rising to the top. You're the cream of the crop, baby. Boom!
I want you to grab the hand of your neighbor. All right? Grab the hand of your neighbor. All right? All right? So again, we've identified we are the WWE. Right? I am a winner.
I am a winner.
You are.
Yes.
You are. Next mayor of Atlanta. Winners in this room, right?
Yes.
Just let your right hand go. I want you to put it across your chest, right? Feel that heartbeat in y'all. Feel that energy?
Yeah.
That's the heart of a winner. Right? That's the heart of a winner. That's it, right? So guess what, guys? This is the winner's circle. Welcome to the winner's circle. Welcome to the winner's circle. You are there. I know I got my men in the room too, but y'all repping for the women too. Women winning in excellence. Now I want you to go get your next win. We're going to put it out. I am a winner, loud as you can ever say it. 1, 2, 3. I am a winner! I'm Anana, aka your blessed girl. Truly, I can tell excited, sweating. This is what I do. Love. Make sure you text WIN 321-204-2533. Let's stay connected and let's get you to your next win. God bless. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Is it still there? Is it showing it all?
25, she got some.
Okay. Hold on, I can just go to it. I'm too fast. Sorry, guys. I know, my good hair and all of that. He's doing something crazy now.
Oh,
Tell you what, just give them the information.
Okay, that's fine. So you can connect with me. I'm on Facebook. It's ANANA, Pfeiffer, PHIFER. Instagram is Anana, ANANA, your blessed girl. Twitter is Anana Blessed Girl. Anything Blessed Girl, that's me. And my website is www.blessedgirls.com. All right? So I think, you got the picture though? You good? It just froze on me, so I'm sorry. But please connect. I have business cards. We can connect, okay? Okay, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, I gotta move. Okay. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Not the time for that. Okay. Y'all can talk to her afterwards. We got the hallway and so forth. Y'all can talk to her. Well, I told y'all, she was shy.
Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from? Who did that say that? Who told that guy?
He's a little confident, a little bit. He's a little shy, but you know, y'all pulled something out of it at least. So, are y'all ready for your next event?
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
I know you are. Well, we are going to bring to the stage next Miss Aretha Simons from Orlando, Florida. It's warm down there. So we're going to bring Aretha up next. And guess what? Any of you, I need to get all y'all's attention. Y'all don't talk to each other right now. We need to get everybody's attention because we're going to focus on the next speaker. the next speaker. And they showed y'all respect when you were speaking. So I need you to make sure that you are showing these people respect when they are speaking. So, what we're gonna bring up is Aretha Simon's name. She is, let me tell y'all something. Y'all wanna know about getting a nonprofit started?
Yes.
She is an expert on getting the 501c3 going. An expert. Now here's the thing, if you wanna learn something, you need to learn it from an expert.
That's right.
She's so much of an, she wrote the book on it. She's gonna tell you all about that, I'm sure. But I want you to understand that if you thought about starting a nonprofit, if you know anybody starting a nonprofit, if you know anybody that heard about a nonprofit, if you know anybody running a nonprofit, they need to pay attention to what's gonna happen right now. So I want you all to give another warm, rowdy, Black CEO welcome to Miss Aretha Simon!
Those of you watching online, you get the same great information. You just can't feel the love that we have in the room. It's been amazing. As he said, my name is Aretha Simons. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I'm a retired Navy veteran. I'm the founder of Yes, go Navy. Yes, go Navy. I am the founder of Multiplying Talent, certified nonprofit consultant. And our mission is to use our talents to help you multiply yours. Now, how do we do that? We do that through helping you set up your nonprofit organization. Either we do it for you or we can teach you how. I want to tell you my backstory. As I said, I'm a retired Navy veteran. I spent 10 years active and 10 years in the reserve. While I was active duty, I don't know if anybody like me, even on active duty, I had another business, because that's how us entrepreneurs are, right? We always have 2 or 3 businesses going. But I just went to a little cake decorating class just to make my kid's birthday special. I fell in love with cake decorating and went to the 3rd class, the 2nd and 3rd class. And before you know it, I was doing cakes. I was taking them to work and people would retire, when they would re-enlist, then somebody got married. Then a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you enter this bridal show and we can split the business. She did flowers and I did wedding cakes. So I bought a booth that cost $200. And next thing you know, from that show, I booked weddings for the next 3 years.
Wow.
So I said, okay, I guess I'm in the wedding cake business. And really, that's what happened. I'm active duty Navy and still doing wedding cakes on the weekends. It was an amazing journey, and I thought, you know what? I need to go to chef school so I can learn the hows and whys of baking, because I'm using Dunkin' Hines. Nobody knows it. I say it's homemade because I made it in my home. But I said I need to go to chef school. So I went to Johnson & Wales, and while I was there, my whole idea was to be in the pastry program, but they taught me to go, they tricked me into going into the culinary program because they said I would still learn the pastry side. So while I was in chef school, I said, you know what? I don't want to be a chef, but I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter, so I stayed there. I said, I'm going to use my skills, since I have a passion for teaching. I'm going to use these culinary arts skills to train other people. So I started a community kitchen school, a nonprofit community kitchen school called Able Community Kitchen, where I would train welfare work recipients and formerly incarcerated men and women the skills of culinary, because that's usually the only jobs they can get.
That's awesome.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of DC Central Kitchen right here in Washington, D.C. area. There's a man called Robert Egger. He had a community kitchen. I saw him on 60 Minutes or something like that, and I was like, oh my God, he's doing what I want to do, but I want to be at the level he's at. So I called him. He said, hey, why don't you come up here? Let me show you the ropes. So he showed me the whole nonprofit world on the steroids, because like I said, he was doing what I wanted to do. Well, I ended up doing my own 501c3, and people would say, who did your 501c3? I said, I did it. It's easy. So I started doing it for people for free, and I was like, wait a minute, I need to start doing it. So next thing you know, I got another business doing 501c3s. I was writing my own grants. People say, well, who did your grants? I said, I did it. It's easy, because to me it was easy, because I understand you got to read the instructions if you want to know anything. And so I would always read and pay attention to detail, because they teach you that in the military. Pay attention to detail. Am I right? I want to go back to when I was on active duty. When I got released from active duty, I was in the reserve while I was running this business, this community kitchen school. It accelerated so fast. And that's why I want to talk to people who are thinking about starting a nonprofit and people who already have a nonprofit. Sometimes things will accelerate so fast that you like, wait a minute, I didn't expect it to happen this quick. And that's what happened to mine. I ended up being on the news, When Robert started his kitchen, Oprah invited him to her show. She said to him, "What's your biggest issue?" He said, "Funding." So Oprah ended up paying for myself, one of my graduates, to go to DC for 7 days. We went on the Senate floor. We got to talk to our congressmen, our senators. I learned so much about federal grants and how the money trickles down. And what I want you to do right now is write down this website. It's called USA Spending. See, this is not just about nonprofit. You're going to get some little grant information too. USAspending.gov. USAspending.gov. This is where you find out how the money trickles down from the federal government, because whether you know it or not, money is really appropriated even for your zip code. So if you go to this website, you'll see what your state is getting funding for, because sometimes it's education, sometimes it's homeland security. So it changes every year. I'm sure they're going to be focusing more on kids and education. Now, am I right? Sure.
Yeah.
So when I learned all this information, I would bring it back and teach other people how to write grants and how to do their 501c3. And 9/11 happened. I was in the reserve, had my nonprofit, life was good. I got recalled back to 9/11. It was like this. It was a voice recording on my cell phone. You have been recalled to active duty in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
Wow.
That was a voice note. I had 96 hours. That's 4 days to get ready. By this time, I was a single parent. My mom had to leave Fort Lauderdale to come to Orlando to take care of my kids. I had to give her custody of my kids and then go on active duty. Now, my regular job was in IT on active duty. When I got there, they said, "Here's your 9mm and here's your M16. It had a number 46 engraved on it. I'll never forget that gun, number 46, because that was the gun that was assigned to me. I walked around with 50 pounds of ammunition on my back and a gun belt. And that was a whole different world to me. I'm walking around with all this things on my back, guns, and I'm like, okay, God, what is this all about? You just plucked me out of my world. When I was doing good, you plucked me out of my world to bring me into this situation. Now, remember when 9/11 happened, everybody's like, I'll go. But when they called me, I was like, oh, Lord, you know, I had to go. So if you were ever, I think you said you were in the military, but we always had to walk around with pen and paper, and usually it's a little green notepad, because you always want to write down what somebody tell you, because if you miss an order, or if you disobey a command, you know, you get in trouble. So I was constantly writing down what the Lord was downloading in me, and He was downloading in me a book. I didn't even understand it while I was on active. I didn't understand what was going on, but I would write down the best guide for nonprofit corporations, and I began to write information down in my book, how to start a nonprofit, steps, because I said when I got out, I knew this is what I wanted to go back to. I wanted to teach people how to start their own nonprofit and tell them the struggles and the situations that I went to. I penned 2 books while I was on active duty. One called Deadly Force Recall. I was talking about the 5 levels of force, because they taught us 5 levels of force, including deadly force. We were authorized by the president to use deadly force, but I used those 5 levels of force and I translated them into 5 spiritual levels of force. I also penned the best guide for nonprofit corporations. So when I got back from active duty, Able Community Kitchen School was no more, because my board members, the vision was inside me.
Right.
And I'm gonna talk about that in a few minutes when I'm talking about who's starting a nonprofit and who's already started a nonprofit, because your board is very key to your success. So when I got back on active duty, I began to train other people how to start their own nonprofit and write grants. So I want to do that right now and talk about 2 things, or 2 types of people: people who are thinking about starting a nonprofit and people who've already started a nonprofit. So let's talk about the people who are thinking about starting a nonprofit. I know a lot of people get so excited when they go and they say, I don't want nobody to take my business name, so they go and incorporate, or they go and get an EIN. Those are great things, but if you go and get those things, you really are in business. See, every business has a life cycle, and I get a lot of people who go online, because you can get the EIN for free on irs.gov, on the IRS website. And the EIN is like your baby social security number. So if your business has a life cycle, you give it birth, then you give it a social security number, which is the EIN number. Right. You are in business. Really, you are in business, and you just don't realize it. A lot of people don't realize that they are in business. So once the clock starts, you have to apply for your 501c3 which is the really the highest level you can get. So the first thing you're gonna do is incorporate on the state level. The second thing you're gonna do is get your employee identification number. It's the EIN. It's also called a tax exempt number. Those, it's interchangeably, that's one thing, your EIN. The second thing you're gonna do, the third thing you're gonna do is apply for your 501c3. There's two types of 501c3 application forms. I know I sound like I'm an IRS agent, right? But the IRS goes by numbers. So one is form 1023, form 1023, and the other one is form 1023 and the letter EZ. They just came out with the EZ form a couple years ago, and they just changed it again last month. So you gotta pay attention to always read. And that's another thing, when you, everything to be automatic online, but before you go online and begin to fill out the paperwork and incorporate, make sure you read the instructions, because everybody's in it to make money. They understand that you're gonna fill it out, and that you don't have the required IRS language that's supposed to go on those articles in order for you to get approved. So they understand that you're gonna fill it out, you're gonna be rejected from the IRS, and then you have to do articles of amendments saying add those IRS language. So make sure you read the instructions before you begin to fill out that online form for incorporating. Also, when you get your EIN, make sure you read the instructions, because if you click the wrong box, you would have gotten the EIN for a for-profit thinking you're getting one for a nonprofit. It's paying attention to details. It's the little things. So it's very important to read. Now, the application for 501c3. There's 3 fees. There's one fee for $850. That's the highest fee. That is if your budget is over $50,000. And that $50,000 is usually within a 3-year period. Also, if you're a church, you must fill out that form. That's a long form. That form is 38 pages. All those pages don't apply to you. Usually pages 1 through 13 you will have to fill out. I know it's still a lot, right? But those pages are the ones that apply to you. The form 1023 EZ, the ones they came out with a couple of years ago, that application fee is only $275. So a lot of people, well, what if I fill out the $275 and then I get approved? Well, they're gonna ask you certain questions, so they're gonna be paying attention to what you applying for. So if you apply for it accidentally, then you're gonna have to go back and change that and then pay the higher fee. Okay, that's all. It's the IRS job to approve you. So don't be intimidated thinking, you know what, I don't know if they're gonna approve me. It's their job to approve you. If you make a mistake, they'll send it back, asking you additional questions. So it's their job to approve. So make sure that you just pay attention to detail. Now I want to talk to the people who have already started a nonprofit. Since 2011, the IRS revamped their system so that they can revoke, which means they can take 501c3s away from corporations. And they did that to 250,000 nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
I had many people come to me because they were under the umbrella of another nonprofit, not even knowing that they didn't have the 501c3. Because see, you can go on the IRS website and you can find out if somebody really has their 501c3, whether you know it or not. Go to irs.gov. Type in the letters. It used to be a big publication called Publication 78, and every year they would print this publication to tell you who had their 501c3. But if you put in the number 78, it'll take you to the link where you can look up and see whether somebody has their 501c3. You need to have their EIN and their business name and the city that they're in. So for people who've already started your nonprofit, there's a few things that I really want you to pay attention to. The primary thing is to make sure that you're doing your annual reporting. Because you've done all this work, you've told everybody about this wonderful idea, and to get your 501c3 taken away from you is going to be a hurtful thing on multiple levels. You're going to hurt the community you're serving, which is really why you did it. You started the nonprofit because you saw a problem, you saw a need, you wanted to provide a solution. So it's important to write this down. Annually, you must do Form 990. Unless you are a church, churches are exempt from doing 990 unless they have what's called unrelated business income. For example, if they had a thrift shop, and that's unrelated to the religious activities that they were gonna do. So the 990 is the form that you must do. If you don't do it 3 years in a row, your 501c3 tax exempt status will be taken from you. You have to do that on an annual basis. It's very, very important. Also, make sure you check on the state requirements. Some states, every state is different. Some states have their own sales tax exemption form, because getting the 501c3 makes you tax exempt on the federal level, but every state, again, everybody's trying to get in your pocket. They have their own qualifications. So make sure your state does not have a fee for their own sales taxes. And sometimes the application is free. In Florida, it's free for the sales tax exemption, and it's good for 5 years, which is a beautiful thing. In New York, you must have your 501c3 in order to even apply for the sales tax exemption. So every state is different. Also, some states require you to fill out a form to be able to even solicit donations. You ever see the man during the holidays ringing that little bell, American Red Cross and Salvation Army? Some people are doing it illegitimately, so they should have a little sign saying we have been approved by the state, and there's a whole disclaimer that they have to have. So make sure your state doesn't have state solicitation, because you can be fined $1,000 daily for not having that. And it's just the things that people don't know. It's the little things. Also, not doing your 990, you could be fined for that as well. Your 990 is, you don't have to pay taxes. Nonprofits don't pay taxes. You're just reporting your income. It's called a 990 income information form. I also want to just bring this home a little bit and talk about how important it is before you start a nonprofit, or if you've already started a nonprofit, to make sure your board members are strong. A lot of times people will start nonprofits and they'll put their husband, their daughter, their cousin's name, anybody's name on there just to get it approved. And then you're the only one doing the work. Make sure you get board members who will help keep the organization healthy financially, because it's really important, because the money is the only thing that's going to help the nonprofit move. People say, it's just because it says nonprofit don't mean you should not be making a profit. Understand that.
Come on.
It is a business.
Yes.
You have to look at it as a business. So that's very, very important. Make sure that you constantly looking at these things. Who, what, where, when, and how. Who are you helping? Because people are going to be asking there all the time. This should be a part of your elevation speech. Your why is always important. You always hear Trevor talk about that. Why are you doing this? You know, why is it so important for you to make sure children are safe in schools? Why is it so important to make sure that no child is left behind? Why is it so important that you don't see homeless in your community? So all those things make a difference. And you know, what are you going to do to help it? What are you going to do to make that difference? It's hard sometimes to write these things down, but it's inside you. So you're the one that's going to have to write it down, and this stuff can transfer over to your grants. How are you going to do it? That's the key thing that funders are always asking. How are you going to accomplish these things? And then when? Because sometimes when you have a nonprofit, you don't have to do these activities every day. They can be done once a week. If you're mentoring after school, doing a reading program, they can be done, you know, once a month, quarterly. Only you will know that. I want to make sure that everybody is able to reach me. You can call me. People call me all the time. I've taught for TD Jakes. By the way, I end up selling over 5,000 of those books, The Best Guide for Nonprofit Corporations, and it's because, because of Bishop TD Jakes. I spoke at his Pastors and Leaders Conference 4 years in a row.
Awesome.
So the last few of those books, I end up selling all of them, and that's only by the grace of God.
Yes.
I want to give you my number. It's 407-575-0685. When you text me your name and your email, 407-575-0685, and I will make sure you get an e-copy of the book for free. Thank you.
Thank
Now, I have a few minutes left. left, but I want to give that time to anybody that has a question. Yes.
My question is, there are two types, or have you ever heard of the 508C1, 3,
The 501, there's 27 types of 501Cs, 501C1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 27. The 501C3 status is the one that's most favorable, because it's the only one whereby if I write you a check, I can write it off of my taxes. All the other ones, they are still exempt from taxes, but it's hard for them to get grants or funding because you can't write off on their taxes. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Now, can you have a profitable status with your nonprofit? Because I had a nonprofit when I was in Seattle, and I had it for 12 years. And so I'm actually now trying to revamp it now with this here. And so I want to be able to use the umbrella like Bishop T.D. Jakes does with the nonprofit, but I won't use the church, but I have a nonprofitable, because he talks about the umbrella of the nonprofit with the profitable status. And I know that you're able to do it, but I probably need to talk to you about that and how to utilize my nonprofit with the profitable status as using it with a consultant or using it for the speaking engagements and making sure that I utilize that properly for my foundation that I'm gonna be operating.
I want everybody to hear the answer because we can still talk offline, but yet you want to have something that's profitable, but as long as those profits feed
back
into the
it.
nonprofit
Right.
and do the things that you say you're gonna do
Exactly.
to accomplish the mission.
That's what I
Yes,
thought. Okay.
yes. He had a question, then I'll come back to you.
With regard to selection of board members, if you're the founder, do you have to be the CEO or the board or the executive director?
So when people start, that's a great question. When people start nonprofits, you are everything.
Yes, you are.
You are the CEO, you're the executive director, you're the president. Once you get to a certain status, where you can have a CEO, because really the CEO for a nonprofit world, they're just over the board, okay? And when you get into the level where you're like not United Way, the kids program, after school program, Boys and Girls Clubs, then you're gonna have multiple, CEOs over the boards. You're gonna have different presidents over the board, and you're gonna have different executive directors, but when you're first started, you're everything. Yeah, so you can serve multiple roles. That answers your question, until you reach another level.
Actually, my question was, can you defer it to someone who has more business savvy or business acumen? So let's say I had the brilliant idea, but I'm not really savvy in the business and the fundraising type thing. Can you defer that to someone else?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, you can have anybody be on your board, but just keep in mind, if it's your baby, you wanna make sure,
Right, that's what didn't I just say that?
you don't have too many surrogates, you wanna make sure that you don't give up to your whole power. So, yes,
My question may be similar to hers, but if you have a for-profit, but you want to have an arm for a nonprofit, going back to what you said earlier, as far as feeding that, your funds from your for-profit into the nonprofit. Is it basically the same thing that she was kind of saying? 'Cause she
any
was saying the
for-profit
umbrella.
can give to a nonprofit, but nonprofit can't give to the for-profit.
Right, but I mean, could you just have an arm, or is it just totally separate?
What do you mean when you say an arm?
Okay, so if I had Ella Denise International, and then I have Lockbox Strategies, but I also want a nonprofit arm for the cause that I'm committed to.
It depends on what their mission is. If their missions are aligned, then your for-profit can feed into your nonprofit, if the missions are aligned. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna give my number again, 407-575-0685. Text me your name and your email, and I'll make sure you get a copy of the Best Guide for Nonprofit Corporation. She had one question, I got 60 seconds.
Aretha Simons, right?
Simons, Aretha
Sorry,
Simons.
sorry.
The next mayor of Orlando. Thank you y'all so much for your time.
Thank you.
Man, oh man, oh man. You know what? One thing I love is that. Okay, thank you. One thing I love is that she gave so much content, and you all were taking notes. Y'all know the expression. Trevor always said it. Note takers are
Money makers.
Right, and you all are taking notes. So that means that you all are actually going to have the information. And then, look, and you'll be getting a lot of text from people because everybody was writing down that number, so they're going to get in touch with you. So we got another group, a couple of speakers. Y'all see them right in front of me right now. They're going to be coming up next. How many of you here are married? Okay, we'll have to a higher level. Yeah, woo-woo. Well, see, the great thing about it is, okay, good, so, we have America's favorite couple. Have me that clicker down here, you can throw it down here if you want to, throw it if you want to, I don't care. But we got America's favorite couple here. I mean, these two are friends of mine. I've known them for quite some time now. They're trying to get me married, at least she is. James, leave me alone. Thank you, James. But Cynthia, she gonna be persistent with you. So, but they have been married for some time, and they can show you how to have a long, happy, healthy marriage. Like my parents, I tell you, my parents been married for 64 years this month. And I want to hope that they do, and all of you who are married can do the same thing. So, without any further ado, I want to bring up America's favorite couple, James and Cynthia.
2 for the price of 1. All right. So first, we're going to tell you how to have 5 secrets to having it all, from single to fulfilled. How many of you feel you're fulfilled?
Yeah.
Do you know what fulfilled really means? I believe you do not. So fulfilled is discovering your full potential. And we all have more potential, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why not discover it? So if we don't discover it, then you're not being fulfilled. Correct? So first, we want to tell you a little bit about us. So we're best-selling authors. Our first book is Don't Get Married If.
All right.
And it's not only about being married, it's about relationships. Because everyone enters into a relationship and they have expectations, but they never actually talk about their expectations. Even in business. You can start a business and you have expectations for your business, but who are you going to talk to about it if you're by yourself? Right? So it's about having those tough conversations, even if you have a virtual assistant, even if you have a mentor, a life coach. You need to talk to somebody, but you have expectations, and you need to talk to somebody about expectations. And that's what this book is about. The second book that I've been...
What I want to say to you is that a lot of people think that we're talking to singles to be fulfilled and stay single. But we're not necessarily talking about that. You can be single fulfilled, you can be single in a relationship and be fulfilled, and you can be married and be fulfilled. So I just want to tell you a little bit about how we came about this topic. So when I was talking to some ladies in the hall, I was just telling them this story. So when I met James, I was fulfilled. Okay? I felt like a lot of us say, I don't need a man. I had a house. I had a great job that I loved. I had my 2 degrees behind me already, and I had 2 great kids that were really, really smart, doing well in school. So I would, and guess what? I had the Lord. Okay? So I was very involved in my community, serving on the PTA board. I was very active in my church. So I felt like I had it all, and I wasn't out there looking for a man, but I knew I was wife material. I knew I wanted to be married. So I was single, and I was fulfilled. But guess what? I'm married now, and I'm still fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? So one of the reasons that I believe that James and I are fulfilled in our marriage is because we did a 40-day journey with each other and with God. God literally took us on a 40-day fast where James and I read a scripture a day, and we prayed together every single day, and we broke our fast and read our last scripture and had our last prayer at our wedding reception.
Oh.
And so we went through the Bible and found everything we could find on marriage, on love, on the bride-groom relationship, and God taught us how to have a great relationship. But you know what we did first? We developed our relationship with Him first, and then also with ourselves, and then with each other. So
That's why I feel I wasn't fulfilled, because we knew each other for over 30 years now. And I'm actually from Philadelphia. I was living in Cleveland, Ohio, and I thought I was fulfilled. I had a great job. I was living in a penthouse, a high-rise. I had 2 cars. I thought I had it all until she came out there, and we started dating, and she actually took me to church. And once I went to church, then I actually became fulfilled. Because how many of you know you have to have this relationship before you can have this one?
Yes.
And that's what I didn't know. So I wasn't fulfilled until that time. Go ahead, you agree? But now I can honestly say I am fulfilled. So you're probably saying, who is James and Cynthia?
It's okay. There you go.
So who is James and Cynthia? I'm at Risby from Philadelphia. And I thought I had it together. You know how you have to have more than one streams of income. And being from Philadelphia, I called it, I had a side hustle. But it wasn't really a hustle. So I wasn't really fulfilled. And we met when I was in the military over 30 years ago. And I was stationed in North Carolina in her hometown. And we became friends. I became friends with her brother. Her other brother was sick. I used to take him to the doctors. I developed a friendship with her family. And that's what a lot of people don't know. You have to be friends first before you can enter into the best relationships are the ones that start off as friends. And we were actually friends. And this is actually our second marriage, but I don't call it a second marriage. I call it my final marriage, the first final marriage. But like she said, this 40-day journey book, and she wrote all these scriptures down, sent to me. And she thought I was going to say, you know what, you better get out of here with all that paper. But how many of you know that you can't keep doing the same things over and over again and expect a different result?
Right.
Come on.
And that's what I was doing. And in my first marriage, all you know as a child is what you see in your parents. So I see my mother work all the time. Single mother, she worked 3 jobs, provided for her family. I thought that was successful. I thought that was fulfilling. So that's what I did in my first marriage. I had 4 jobs. Had the house, the kids in private school, car. I thought it was it. But I wasn't communicating. I didn't nurture the relationship. I didn't cultivate the relationship. So what was I doing? I wasn't doing anything to make the marriage grow. So one day, I came home from my second job, and the house was empty. She had took the kids back and left.
Oh, wow.
So when we got married, and she told me about these scriptures and what we need to do, I said, that's perfect. Because I don't want to get caught up in the same thing I did before.
Come on.
That's why I had to make a difference. I had to make a change.
So do you guys know that this is the perfect season to be single? They say that there are over 112 million unmarried people in this world, in America. So I hear a lot of people saying, like I said, I heard it in the hallway, you know, there's no good men out here. You hear men say it's hard to find a good woman. Where are they? But statistics say that this is a great time to be single, like that you have the pick of the litter, because there's so many single people out there. And we're going to tell you a little bit about how to maybe find that right person, but not necessarily you're looking for it. But also I want to know, James asked earlier, how many people in here are married, but how many people are single? Any single people in the room? So they say out of those 112 million unmarried people, 85% want to be in a relationship. So everybody pretty much wants to be in a relationship.
And what is relationship? Look at that word relationship. Look at relate. Relate is what we're doing now. A common interest, BlackCEO. What is relations? That's doing that common interest over and over again. Why do you think when they talk about sex, they say, oh, they're having relations? Because they're doing the same thing over and over again. But what is a relationship? A relationship is an actual covenant. When 2 people enter into a covenant. And biblically, it says a covenant is the promises to us from God.
Come on.
So what is a relationship? Let me tell you what it is. 2 imperfect people that covenant together in their imperfect state. Come on now. You can't focus on your imperfections. Come on. We all have families. Are families perfect?
No, sir.
Let me tell you, mine is dysfunctional. Let me just say. But your family is perfect, but you can't focus on that. Just like in your business. If you have a business partner, if you have a virtual assistant, if you have a life coach, you probably say, oh, they're not perfect. But you can't focus on those imperfections. If you focus on them imperfections, you can't get all that what God has for you in your business and in your life. Because it says in Psalms 133, where there's unity, that's what God commands a blessing. That means coming into agreement. That's coming in unity. That means if you come into agreement with the person you're in a relationship with, whether it's business or personal, it's going to be blessed automatically. It's not nothing you pray for. It's not nothing you have faith for. It's automatic.
Absolutely. So we're going to give you 5 secrets to having it all. And through being loved. L-O-V-E-D. Through being loved. So the first letter L is, you have to love yourself first. Now, how do we really learn to love ourselves? Most of us know through having a relationship with God. Because honestly, we don't really know who we are till we know who we are in Him. Right? So through reading the scriptures, through prayer, through attending church, through talking to Him, just spending time with Him, meditation, through worship, through song, all of those ways you get to know God. And as you're reading the Word and you're getting to know God, He's going to download and deposit into you just who you are. You know, so many people don't really know who they are, but it's not that hard to figure it out. So if you don't know your purpose, your mission, and who you are in God, I challenge you today to start a relationship, a conversation with God about it. Just start talking to Him about that specifically, and He will download some things in you. And as that go on, you're going to learn to love yourself, because you're going to know who you are in Him. And I love the lady who was here earlier, talking about a winner. You got to have the attitude of a winner, because once you start to love yourself and know yourself, oh my God, you are going to become a winner in every single area of your life. You're going to know how to win. Because when you're talking to God and you're talking to Him about you specifically, He's going to download in you some things about your purpose and your vision and what He's called you to do. And you're going to be able to run with it to the finish line and be that winner that we were talking about earlier.
So the next one is O, and that's to be open-minded. Come on. How many of us are truly open-minded? You've probably been in past relationships, even if they're business, where you've been hurt. Now you have up a wall, and you're not truly open. So how do you get that you can get in your life, in your business, if you're not open-minded? See, a lot of people have a list that they want this perfect. Perfect's not out there.
Come on.
I'm letting you know it's not out there, even in your business. You probably can have a virtual assistant or even a life coach, and you say, okay, I'm not going to them. They're not doing what I want. But no one's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. It's what you do with those mistakes and how you overcome them and come back stronger the next time. So you have to be open-minded. Because a lot of times, being open-minded allows you to be transparent. You know, it allows the other person to see who you really are. And that's when you start talking. You're talking to them, they're talking to you, you're open-minded. You're open for a relationship, whether it's business or personal. It allows you to be transparent. It allows compatibility, and it allows growth. See, a lot of people need to focus on themselves and their attitudes. Come on, you know I'm not going to her. I don't like the way she talks. I don't like the way she dresses. You're not open-minded. You don't know what they have for you, how they can pour into your life and into your business if you're not being open. You hear what I'm saying? So what I want you to do is make a list of 7 things. 7 things that you want in a relationship, or a business relationship, or a personal relationship. Then make another list of maybe 7 things that you do not want for your business or your relationship. And then you know what you do? Throw that list out. You know what you do? Go to God. Trust God.
Oh my.
Because God gave you this business, didn't He? How many, all of us are business owners in here?
Yes.
God gave you this business, didn't He?
Yes, sir.
So you're discovering your purpose. You're discovering your passion. So go to Him first. He will give it to you. Doesn't He say He will give you the desires of your heart?
Yes,
He won't
sir.
put more on you than you can handle? He will give you that. All you got to go to Him and ask Him what you want. And He will put them people in your life that you need. So go out that list. There was no one out there. There's no one out there perfect. I'm just saying. Because let me tell you, when it comes to us, I wasn't perfect. I remember she called me up. We've been friends for about 20 years.
Wow.
And she said, and can I be transparent? I want to be open and honest. She said, I'm looking for a man who's saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, sitting next to me in church. And when she called me for that, let's be honest, I had a gin and juice in my hand. And I said, okay, I'll never have her. I'm not that person. But look what God does.
Yes.
So a lot of people focus on, okay, here's what I want. But you're being closed-minded. You're not being open. You don't know that could be the person for you. I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect for her.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. So that's what you need to do. Just be open, honest, and truthful. Sometimes the truth hurts.
Yes.
But if you're clear and direct and you're open with it, they'll be able to accept it because it comes from love. It comes from your heart.
And all those things that James was talking about is part of communication.
Yes.
You know, when you're being open, when you're having a conversation with someone, you're being open. You're being honest. And you have to trust them with your heart. And they should be able to trust you with their heart. So James was talking about being, not necessarily being the one, you're being imperfect. So, the V word, venture out of your comfort zone. Okay, so I have to tell y'all this. Okay, so I had my list, you know, like I told you guys, I had my life together. You know, I did not necessarily need anyone to help me, but I knew that I was called to be a wife. And James, like he said, we have been friends for 20 years. I knew him, you know, but I didn't really know him in his world. I just knew him when he came around in my world. But anyway, I didn't necessarily like James that way. Like, I liked him as a friend, but honestly, I had my list, and he didn't fit my design. Honestly, I did not like light-skinned guys. I did not like bald-headed guys. When he called me and told me he was bald, I was like, oh my God. And then I never dated guys with glasses, right? And then he wasn't saved. He was not my type. And so I discounted him.
She hated my sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, the other part. He is such a jokester. His joking used to get on my last nerve. That's right, my last nerve. And I used to be like, oh my gosh, can you just turn it off? Y'all, we're married, and I still tell him that. Can you just turn it off? We're at home. People think he's just like that in public. We're at home. I'm like, honey, can you just turn it off? Cut it out. Stop, you know, stop teasing me. Stop mocking me. Just stop. But I love that part about him now. It grew on me, y'all.
Now she has a sense of humor. Let me just
Honestly, I did not have a sense of humor before James, so y'all can see how marriage, they say you start to look like your spouse, you start to act like them. But seriously, you have to venture outside of your comfort zone. Yes, we all have a list. Yes, we have an idea of what we want in a relationship and in a man and a woman. There's nothing wrong with that. But like James said, you have to go to God. And honestly, he's going to have that perfect person for you that you don't even realize that that's that perfect person for you. Because had my brother not pointed out that James liked me, I just thought James liked me as a friend. But my brother was the one that pointed out that he was in love with me. And I'm like, no, he's not. We're just friends.
Work it, James.
So I literally called him up. I was big, brave, and bold on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2006, and I said I was going to call him up and ask him, and I did. And I'm like, do you like me? He's like, yeah. I said, no, do you like me? Like, are you interested in me like a girlfriend type of relationship? He was like, yeah, I've always been interested in you like that. But because he knew that I wanted this saved man and all these things, he discounted himself.
Exactly.
And so, like I said, I'd known him for 20 years, but I'd never been to where he lived and all of that, you know. So I decided to go out to where he was to find out if he was really who he said he was, you know, if he was doing what he said he was doing, if he was living like it looked like he was living. So I flew out to Ohio to visit him. And it wasn't until we had an experience in church that my husband claims he don't remember. But I got there and he took me on the whirlwind eating spree. I mean, we were having a ball. And so he kept saying, well, what do you want to do Sunday? I keep asking you. I said, I told you what I do on Sunday. He was like, church, you really want to go to church? I said, yes, I do. So we went to church. He had to search y'all to find a church. But we went. And he had an experience with God. He literally took my hand and threw it in the air. And at that moment, I felt head over heels in love with him. While our hands was lifted in the air, I looked over him, tears running down his
Don't
eyes.
remember.
So the Holy Ghost got a hold of him. You know, his family like to say, I got him saved. No, I did not. I took him to church, but I did not get him saved.
But let me just say, that's when I actually became fulfilled. Because I wasn't really looking, and I didn't really felt I needed anything. But at that moment, maybe the tears just, and I don't remember honestly, but that's when I became fulfilled. Because when she left Ohio and came back here to Maryland, I joined the church. I just kept going. And I found my fulfillment. Just to say. So the E is ever evolve. Come on. We know times are changing. Everything's evolving, and you have to evolve with the times. How many remember back in the day when you didn't have cell phones? Put your business out there, maybe by word of mouth, maybe advertising newspaper, but now it's evolved. So you always have to evolve with the time, which requires change. And I know psychologically, change feels like loss. Because if they say change your business, change your logo, change what you're doing. You'll feel you're starting over, and now I can start from the beginning again. But if somebody told you, if you make this change, you can make $100,000 more, then you're willing to change. Correct? So you need to be willing to change. Because like I said, God gave you his purpose. Let me say in John 15:16, it said, you did not choose me, I chose you.
Right.
So you didn't choose your business. Your business shows you that you can bear fruit and have constant fruit. You know what I'm saying? So all of your business owners, with all your business owners, that's what he did. That business chose you. And now you're walking in your purpose. But you have to change. You have to evolve. You have to make an assessment of yourself and your business and even your personal relationship and evolve with that. And what does that mean? Growing together. You're growing together with your business. As your business growing, you're growing. You have to evolve. If you're in a relationship, you both have to evolve together and grow together, because if you're not growing together, what are you doing? You're growing apart. Come on. So you have to evolve. You have to make sure you grow with the times.
Right, and so James and I, we evolved together. Like as he grew in the Lord, I grew in doing things differently than I'd done before, because I'd been a single mom, a single woman, had it going on, and I had to learn to, share and bring.
Be investors and not consumers.
Absolutely.
What do consumers do? Consumer will see something, especially a man. You see something you like, you'll purchase it, you'll use it, then you get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with your business or with a relationship. You gotta be an investor. Invest in that, helping that grow, encourage that. You know what I'm saying? Put time into that, because whatever you invest your money, your time, and energy into, what you get out is your interest, your attraction, and your passion.
Come on.
Because if you say, for example, you like golf, so you buy clubs, your money, then you go out and pay for it, lessons, money. Now you're putting time in. You're putting your energy in to get better. Now what? Now you have more of an interest in it. Now you're attracted to it. You may be watching on TV. And now you have a passion for it. It's the same way in your business and in a relationship. You invest money into your business, your time to grow your business, and your energy to make it profitable and make it last. What do you get out of it? Your interest. Now you're interested more in what you're doing, because you're discovering your purpose. Come on. Now you have a passion for it. You're walking in your purpose, in your passion. So you have to invest.
And another piece of that ever evolving, when we started Marriage Built to Last, I started Marriage Built to Last, and I was working the business basically by myself for about a year. But as we were evolving as a couple, my husband saw my passion. I'm discussing things with him. He developed the interest in it, and guess what? He developed a passion for it. We started doing the business together.
Awesome.
And so that is how you ever evolve.
To reassess yourself in those years. When the 7 year comes or the 5 years, reassess yourself. Reassess what you're doing. And just go with the times. You have to evolve when the times change. And just because change psychologically means loss, it doesn't necessarily mean loss.
Absolutely. So we have a free gift.
Come on, how many like free?
Free gifts, like we like giving. We're givers also.
We're
We like
givers.
giving free gifts, and so we're gonna give you a book on communication. And it's going to be about relationships, and you can use this in your personal life, your business life, your marriage life. And so if you text the word communication to 443-201-7723, you will get our free book.
And all you need to communicate, because there's a lot of business owners here at BlackCEO. And you need to communicate with a lot of these people to find out where you can collaborate together. So don't leave this BlackCEO conference without communicating, talking to somebody, learning what they do, and see how you can work together.
And make sure you follow all the steps, because you'll get a document on communication, and then you take a step further, and then you're going to actually get your free ebook.
Right, you got to put your name and email in, and they'll email you the free ebook.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. 443-201-7723. So our last letter in love, L-O-V-E, the D, is dating is forever. We just thought this was important, because even if you're not in a relationship with a significant other of the opposite sex, you still should be dating yourself. You should be going out with your girlfriends. Even take your mama out sometimes. Go on a date with your daddy. Go on a date with your kids. But dating is forever. My husband always says, and I'm going to steal his line, because he says, you don't date to get married. You marry to date.
That's good.
So if you keep dating your spouse after you get married, you can best believe you're going to have a strong relationship. My husband had Friday night has been our date night for the last 10 years. My family, my friends know. You can ask us to go somewhere. We might choose to go with you on our date night, but that's our date night no matter what we may do on that night. We'll be here no, we won't be here at BlackCEO tomorrow night. We have a speaking engagement tomorrow. But you know, it's still our date night. We're still intentional about it in some type of way. So dating is forever. You gotta have that romance. When you go out on dates with your spouse especially, or even when you're dating, it fuels that romance, it creates memories, and guess what? It shows that other person that they are a priority in your life. So that is why we felt like we need to let people know that dating is significant. So many couples, talk to us about we're getting ready to be empty nesters. We don't know what we're going to do. Because they never dated each other. They never spent any real time together. You should have been doing that from the very beginning.
And as our time is up, we want to wind down. You just remember the 5 steps, LOVED, because there's nothing more important in life than being loved or loving someone. Because just think about it, when you're on your deathbed, it don't care about how much money you made, all the accommodations, all the accolades, all of that. All you want around you is the people that love you and the people you love.
So learn to know yourself and love yourself, and you will have it all and be fulfilled.
And you can reach us at marriagebuilttolast.com. That's the number 2, Marriage Built to Last movement on Facebook, Twitter, what is it, Marriage B2L?
Yes.
All the social media.
Right, give it up for James and Cynthia one more time, guys. Wow, this thing's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going. They make me want to tie the knot now.
They're trying.
No. Somebody just told my shoes untied. That's it. Somebody just told my shoes untied. Anyway, we have one more speaker coming up today. Are y'all ready? Oh, that was. I have one person say, "Are y'all ready?" I still don't believe that. Are y'all ready?
Ready!
Thank you. I needed you.
I feel your energy, bro.
Feel my energy. Thank you. Yeah, look, I want to tell you to do one thing. Pull out your cell phone real quick. I want y'all to do one thing. I want you to text the word brain. Text the word brain to this number. 240-718-6350. I'm going to give it to you one more again. 240-718-6350. You text the word brain one more time. 240-718-6350. Now, if y'all ain't got that 3 times, I got to wonder.
You ain't got to
We got to go back to remedial school.
I just got to wonder. I ain't gonna say nothing else about y'all. I just got to wonder. Okay? If y'all ain't got it 3 times. Now, this lovely young lady up here, right? That's Trina D. Brown, y'all. Give her a hand.
Freedom.
Let me tell y'all something. We've had a lot of speakers, a whole cavalcade of speakers up here in this room. This is the only one where I got to bring a sheet up to go over everything that she do. Because, let me tell y'all something. She is an author. She's an evangelist. She's an inventor.
Come on.
She's a motivational speaker. She's a financial consultant.
Wow.
Can you say Renaissance woman?
Renaissance.
I mean, the woman does, like they say, everything. She does everything. So we're going to bring her up in a minute. We got to get this thing to get hooked up here.
We don't have that adapter.
We don't have
You need an HMDI code.
Yeah, probably.
We need another cord here. And doggone it, I have one in my room, but I ain't got one right here. Now, that's okay. She's gonna talk to you about being purpose-driven. She's also the author of the book. We got some help. We got USB. This is a #11, guys. It's all about collaboration, baby. We got this.
That's why
We got this. So what we're gonna do is get ready to bring up Trina in a minute.
But I'll take it too.
Oh, okay, we have a change in the schedule. So
Yeah, she was
Y'all just got a glimpse of quality. That's my BlackCEO wife. She give me honeydews. This is she tells me what to do all the time.
Yes.
That's what she does. She just tells me to do it. I just do it. 'Cause I don't want her to get mad at me. So anyway, we're almost set up here, but I want to tell you a little bit more about Trina Brown. And see, James don't know how to whisper, so we're gonna have James step out the hallway.
He does not.
Cynthia ain't going, no, you don't know how to whisper. Okay, but, we good?
We should.
Oh, we gotta push this, move this thing to the side, just open up the window.
The flap.
There we go. So, that's it, there you go. Okay, give it a second to sync up.
You have to select the type now for the same computer, but you need
Yeah, right on there.
USB, right?
It should be on there, yeah. Go down USB. No, you good. 1, 2, 3, you can do it in a second. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. There we go. One more. Y'all seeing all this technology at work here? Technological geniuses at work here?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Don't ask us to screw in a light bulb now.
Sometimes we'll changing the, you got another port, take it out and put it back in.
I can take that one out.
The song by the Supreme says, someday we'll be together. We're working on this guy.
Is it skipping HDMI? Is it US?
She does that. You need an
Oh, she-
HDMI cord.
Okay.
But she's on USB.
Well, I guess I can just use my, I'll just use it with, just not have it. I guess. I'll just use it.
It's okay, you use it for
That's
reference.
okay, that's okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
She's a speaker. She knows how to present her thing. She good. So once again, guys, we got Trina Brown coming up here. Y'all heard me say she does everything. She's an author. She's an evangelist. She's an inventor. She's a motivational speaker. She's a financial service consultant. I got it now. I got it memorized now. I ain't got the phone number memorized. So y'all text the word BRAIN 240-718-6350. She's the author of the book, The Unknown Voice. She's going to talk to you about how to be purpose-driven, and she's going to talk to you about that unknown voice that y'all have, the voice that you never hear. Y'all ready to hear about it?
Yes.
I don't think y'all heard me. Are y'all
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to make sure they're ready for it.
They're ready, they're ready.
Everybody give it up for Trina Brown!
CEO Conference 2018. And I'm so excited because I'm glad that I was able to come and speak to you all. Because the thing about it is that we as Black CEOs, we have to prepare ourselves for the unknown voice. And reason why I think that I'm so grateful that Travis them exactly wanted me to come and speak to you all is because that unknown voice we don't talk about is because we're always moving and shaking and trying to make that move of getting that next level. And that unknown voice is that voice that we never want to talk about. That voice that we never want to speak about. And so let me give you a little sidebar about me. I am the baby of 10. My sister, Lynetta, she passed away in December. She had dementia. She was 63 years old. She got it, and she had it for 12 years. She ran an operation for almost 19 years in Seattle. She was the operations director for Big Brothers of King County. And she actually, when she ran their operation, she was the, you know how they call you for donations and try to make sure that you have your donations.
and see if you're ready for, donation pickup. She was the main person to get the operations going. And so she did that in 1996, the first person to have that going in the King County area. And so she was that person to take charge. I'm gonna do it. She got millions of dollars for their organization. She was over all their fundraisers. And so she was that person, basically the CEO for King County, Big Brothers King County, and so she was doing that in the 80s. And so basically, I'll give you a little bit about her, because her motivation in doing and going and going and going and going, she was always going and doing. And so a little bit about that unknown voice is that in the late 2000s, I should say early 2000s, she was diagnosed with dementia. And it just hit our family that we didn't really know what happened. And so I started saying, well, what's going on? How did this happen? And doing the research, we found out that it was from taking an the doctors put her on an antidepressant. And so when people look at the medication that we're taking, what is the side effects? What does it do to us? And so there's a few things that I want to talk to you about. When we hear the word dementia, it's a big umbrella. It's this huge umbrella that, we're like, okay, what's dementia? We thinking, oh, that's, some our grandparents are, someone that's 75 and 80 and up, we thinking of those people. We're not thinking of someone that's in their 40s or 50s, we're thinking that can't be, and so there's things that Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. There is another one called BlackCEO. It's basically from the blood. When you have a stroke, when you have something going on with your blood, that is a form that the blood is not flowing to the brain. That causes dementia. And so that is another high risk of having dementia. And my sister had one called frontotemporal dementia. And you can actually get it when you're in your 30s.
Oh, wow.
And you don't see signs of it until you're in your mid-40s.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of people don't realize that. Reason why I'm coming to speak to you now is because when I started talking to Shay and Trevor about it, I said, we're so busy going, and I have my own company in Seattle, we're so busy going as CEOs, that when do we take the time to rest our brain?
Come on now.
When do we take the time to feed ourselves? When do we take the time to really evaluate what we're doing to the inside? I look at it from the point of view as, from the spiritual side, what do we do to the temple? How do we treat the temple? And there's a couple things that I look at and say, okay, how are we managing what we're doing to our body? What are we doing to what we eat? How, when we go to the doctor, they give us medication. Are we looking and seeing what the side effects are? My sister was one of those that she was taking her vitamins. She was one of those that drank the tea. She was always healthy and taking care of her body. And so to have someone give her something that was not right, she would have been like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But to know that there's things that was going on, she wouldn't have done that. And so my thing is, I want to educate people. I want to empower us to know the difference of what's going on with us, because this is a silent killer. It's an epidemic going on, and we're not talking about it. And so the thing that gets me right now is that there's 3 top ones of dementia that's going on right now. And right now, there is 5.5 million people in the United States right now, million. And out of that 5.5 million, there is 57% is African American.
Wow. Wow.
And so, yes. And reason why I'm giving you these numbers, I'm gonna go over a few things with y'all, which I think was working here. Because, there's, the reason why there's 57, there's 49% that are accounted for, and there's a difference of 10 that's not, because they're not counting those that are baby boomers. The baby boomers are not accounted for. And if you're not in the numbers of being accounted for, there's some that's not going to get tested. They're having issues where they don't go and see that they need the help. And so when they realize that they need the help, it's too late because they think they're over the 65 age. And so that when they get to that 65, they're in a different category. And so they say, oh, well, you're in the Alzheimer's. And so they put them in a different category, and so they're marking them different. And so that's where we're at having a problem right now, because we're not categorizing our people correctly. And so when we go out to educate, and when we go out and make the people aware in the community, there's not, the numbers are not adding up. And so when I started looking at it, I was like, so what's going on? Why are our Medicaid and our Medicaid and Medicare numbers more higher than the Caucasian, the Hispanic, and the Asian? And I started looking at the numbers, and I was like, okay, so for total Medicare payment per person for a white person is $19,734. For African American, it's $26,686. For Hispanic, it's $21,151. And for others, which would be Asian and other colors, population, is $25,675. Now remember, African American was $26,686. That's for Medicare payments per person. Hospital care, going to the hospital. This is for a white person, $5,163. African American, $8,690. Hispanic, $6,986. Others, $7,856. $58, sorry. And for skilled care nursing, this would be for a white person, $3,367. For African American, it's $4,174. You see the difference here? You see the numbers? It's obvious something is wrong here.
Right.
So I can keep going over and over and let you know that's just for skilled care. And then going to home care. All the numbers seem to be going a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. And it's like somewhere we're missing the picture here. We're Black CEOs and our community is suffering. And we're not getting tested. And we're thinking that it's our older people. No, it's our younger people. It's our great age. You know, and I was telling someone, I said, you know, it hit me a little harder because I'm going to get a little personal with you, because I started talking to people. I said, well, in October, I started having headaches, and I kept on, you know, stress from my sister. I took over my sister, and 4 years ago, I lived in West Virginia, and she lived in Seattle. I said, well, she said, well, come to Seattle. I was 22 years old. She said, well, move out here with me. And I moved out to Seattle, lived there for 23 years. And she moved to North Carolina, and when she got sick, I said, okay, I'm gonna give up my business as a CEO, have my own company, gave up my company. Now, this is what someone would do when they had their own company, and you move and give up yours to come and take care of your family. And so this is what you do. And so that's what I did as a baby of 10, you know. And so these is what I'm going to talk to you about in regards of what situations you do. if you're not having things in place. And so I did that, but I went and had the test. I had an MRI done. I found out that I have a white matter, which means that I have something that could cause me to have the disease. And so it could spread. And so I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do? How do I need to do this? So I started seeing my neurologist. I started going and getting tested. And this is what I need to educate people. I said, well, I have a mission, you know, and as my sister, as she was dying in my arms, I said, I got you. And I said, your living and your dying will not be in vain. And I grabbed hold of her and I told her, I said, I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it, Lynette. I'm going to let people know. And so my thing is, I had to go through my part of mourning and things and letting some things go. But I'm on a mission because I started seeing numbers and I started looking at her age and I'm like, something's wrong here. And it's a problem. We're in an epidemic where we have to help people because it's to the problem where it's like, it's not about 75 or 25. It's like the younger generation is going to suffer because in 2050, the numbers is going to go up to 16 million.
Wow.
16 million people are going to suffer from this disease. And if it's to the point right now where about 3 weeks ago, Bill Gates, I'm going to throw his name out because he made it public. His dad has dementia. And so now his dad has dementia. He put money towards a special way of testing because he said, well, I know that I'm probably going to get it. So he wants to test it in a genetic, and to test the genetic part of it. So he wants to test his genes so they make sure that he don't get it. Or either check to make sure his children don't get it. And so he's running all these tests to see what needs to be done. So he put a lot of money towards this. And so the thing about it is, what do we do as Black CEOs? What do we do as a community? My thing is, I'm here to help empower people. I'm here to educate you. What do we do and what can we do? You know, my thing is, he gave you a number. He gave you a number to text. I'm going to start sending out information. When you give me that information, that number to you, I'm going to start sending you my information to say, okay, this is what's coming out. This is what you need to do. There is things that's going to happen in your life to empower you. And so that's the next step. And so, as I stated before, a lot of people think that Alzheimer's is a thing for 65 and older. That's true. The vascular disease of dementia, that's from 50 and older. That's true. Frontotemporal disease, dementia, that's from 30. That can start in your 30s. And I mean, would you imagine that you're in your 30s? And I got to doing some research, and I have a 26-year-old son. And I remember when my son used to be hyper in school, and you know kids used to be hyper in school. And I started talking to this doctor at University of Chapel Hill, and they're doing a test now where they used to put kids on Ritalin. And you remember Trevor was talking about ADD, right? Hyper. They are testing people now that are dealing with that because they're saying that that drug is causing problems with the memory, and it shakes your mind. And it could cause, they haven't tested it completely yet, but they're saying it's making problems with your memory. So when you get to a certain age, you will lose your memory. And so that's why kids that have been on it have problems with balancing things. So that's what you have to look at. There's so much going on that you don't understand the magnitude of what drugs are doing to people. And so my thing is that I tell people there's a few things that I want to go over with you. And I tell people all the time, I said, 3 things. There's 3 key things that I want to talk about the voice. the first thing that I want to do is help you to understand what you're dealing with in regards of the signs. If you have a loved one or someone you know that have the disease, what do you do? How do you go about getting involved with that person? How do you make sure that you understand what's going on with that person? Because there's so much going on within our community that they're falling through the cracks. Within our churches, within our within our homes, they're getting stressed out. There are things going on that people don't realize. And so I gave you the numbers early before I gave you these three things, because there's things in of what they're getting when they go into the hospitals. How they even, I mean, being an advocate for my sister, they seen me coming and they were like, oh, Miss Brown, Miss Mickey's sister is on the floor. I had my book in my hand when I went into the nursing home. And they knew when I would come in. Because it's like, Miss Mickey's sister's on the floor, because I meant business. Because I was taking care of my sister. My sister got to the point where she was speaking at one point. She could not speak by the time she got ready to pass. So I had to be her voice. And so in order for me to speak for her, I need to know what I was talking about. So you was not gonna go and talk about anything that I did not know about. So in order for me to know how to educate myself, I had to be on top of my game, because I need to know what I was gonna deal with in regards to making the right decisions for my sister.
You know, and even as you say that, I'm from long-term care for 28 years, and just being an advocate and coming in, what you said was just very important, in sense understanding what the care needs to be. And knowing that as a healthcare provider, we were there, but for the family members that was really there, we knew it was charted, and they made sure that everything was absolutely done on point. So you are so correct and so right in saying that being that advocate and understanding and knowing what it's all about, especially the disease itself, when you can come in and you will get, not only get, but demand the very best care. So
Yeah. And you have to, and that's the key, because a lot of people don't realize they have a right, and they take whatever someone give them. I mean, for the nursing homes, they think, oh, well, you just gotta take them because they're in the nursing home. No, you don't. You don't have to take that. And whatever the hospital give them, no, you don't have to. And so that's the problem that we're dealing with. And so that's why I want to give you these 3 points, because you have to make sure that your loved ones get the right care. And the second point is that how to prevent your loved one from, making sure that you can prevent it by make ahead of the game, by getting tested, making sure you watch what you eat. There's certain foods that have certain things that I think someone earlier talked about, the food, the water, the GMOs, we're so conscious of what this and that. Yeah, making sure that you eat the right things that can feed the brain cells, that, and making sure that you're putting things in that's gonna feed that brain. And then exercising the brain. Are you relaxing the brain? I went and did a flow therapy to relax my brain. I get IV therapy to put enough minerals back into my body to feed the brain. So those type of things. And the key thing that I want to leave with you, if I'm leaving nothing else with you, is to know your medication side effects. They tell you what your medication side effects for your kidney, your liver, your everything, but they don't tell you what it's going to do to your brain. They can't tell you. They'll tell you everything else, but they cannot tell you. I take thyroid medicine. And my thyroid medicine causes foggy memory. And so foggy memory could cause certain other things. But how long of a stint does that happen? So these are the things that we have to be educated. No, you don't take that. And so these are some power. We don't utilize the power that we have. If you have a problem. Income, I need to refine enough income to take care of you, because you're looking at the cave, rely on your power. Okay, and then 6 and even stated before what your voice is saying.
blowfish, before going to the VA. She was like, if I first person go for it was like times, each vet. Yeah, my question is this, bad together.
Yes, they are.
A scrupulous world.
You have to take power in a doctor that told me that, oh, no, something's wrong. I knew power in my own hand. I wrote medicine, and now I'm winging on what they have. I know your situation medication, and you now as well.
I know we have to go, but this is going to the doctors that they're treating about the stomach ache, but you're not telling me.
End up going to an interventional doctor and go in and take care of that and actually go and do a colon. I was on a blood pressure pill. And that's one thing that we don't need will go off. I mean, they literally, and then they don't detox of the things that's in the system. You got to get it out of your system.
Bonus. The big round to have something.
Come on, Dad.
Word shine. Text the word 4296. Y'all know I'm gonna read it again. 209-500-4296. Text the word shine. One more again. Text the word shine to 209-500-4296. Now, we getting towards the end of this session here, but I want y'all to get the energy up like it just started today. So I want you all to give a nice BlackCEO welcome to Bonita.
Thank you so much, Barrett. Thank you, BlackCEO. I always say I'm last, but definitely not least.
Bring it home.
So we're gonna change it up a little bit.
Right.
Thank you out there, if you're watching virtually, for joining. And I want you first. Well, let me step back and re-say, I'm Bonita Owens, CEO and founder of the Amazing Women Network. And we work with high-achieving women who are ready to stop playing small and step into their significance. And the way we do it, I say, let's go on a ride. And ride is reinvent, rediscover, and reestablish yourself in the world. And today we're gonna go for a little ride. I'm gonna take you on a little journey. Is that all right?
Yes.
I'm gonna start by sharing something with you, very personal and intimate to me. So I want you to kind of lean in and listen. I'm gathering myself right now, so I won't get emotional on y'all.
It's all good.
My deepest fear is not that I am inadequate. My deepest fear is that I am powerful beyond measure. It is my light and not my darkness that frightens me the most. I ask myself, who am I to be brilliant, talented, fabulous, gorgeous? Actually, who am I not to be? For I am a child of God.
Come on.
My playing small does not serve the world. There was nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others won't feel insignificant around me. We were born to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our very presence liberates others. That's my adaptation of Marion Williamson's Return to Love. And that is really very close to me because it describes me. And it describes you. You are all significant. Everyone is significant. You watching me virtually, you are significant. And yet, even though everyone is significant, not everyone receives their significance. Not everyone believes they're significant. And not everyone is living according to their significance. So I want you to say, repeat after me, I am significant.
I am significant.
I am significant.
I am significant.
Now look at your neighbor and say, you are significant.
You are significant.
You are significant.
You are significant.
We all are significant. But what happens to us? When you think of a 5-year-old, kindergarten, if you've ever been around kindergarten students or just children, they know they're significant. We are born to shine.
Come on.
You ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And what do they say? They know possibility. A little boy might get up and say, I want to be a football player, a lawyer, and a surgeon. And there is nothing in them that's telling them otherwise, that they can't be all of that. They know they're significant. A little girl might say, I want to be a dancer and a makeup artist and a zookeeper. And they know that their significability, that there was nothing that you could not do. Nothing. I submit to you, there's a couple of things that I believe in. We have talked about today Darnell talked about that there are significant things that happen to you between every 7 years. And to go back and look at those things. And a couple of things I've picked out for me in my life is what happens when we're brought up. The one thing, and I don't know if y'all grew up in this era, of the children are to be seen and not heard. Who grew up, who knows what I'm talking about? So you're supposed to ask for permission to speak. Don't draw attention to yourself. And they tell you, get somewhere and sit down. Get somewhere and sit down. Right?
Not sit down.
Not sit down, sit down.
Oh, man.
You don't speak when adults are speaking. You don't take the floor because you're a child. And so what happens is we grow up still waiting for permission to speak. Still waiting for permission for our voice to be heard. You're still waiting for somebody to say, you can speak now, it's okay.
That's good.
And we're 30 and 40 years old sitting there like, okay, I'm waiting. In a minute now, somebody's going to tell me I can speak, that it's my turn. And that is what happened with me. I waited. I'm sitting here waiting. In a minute now, somebody's going to see what's in me, and they're going to pull it out. They're going to say, come on, girl. It's your turn. And guess what? That never happened. That never happened. Some of you are even helping somebody else's businesses. You are trying to align yourself with other people, thinking they're your ticket, thinking they have something to give you. They're going to see something in you. But guess what? It probably won't happen. Because one thing I realized is that first, before anybody sees it in me, I got to see it in myself. Come on, man. I have to see it. You have to see it in yourself before anybody else can see it in you. And the second thing is to always listen to your elders. Always listen to your elders. Anybody know about that? Because they've been where you haven't been, they know more than you know, and you should always listen to your elders. Now, I'm not saying that's not true, but when you get to a certain point, and we are still listening to other people, you're still listening to your elders. And I heard when Oprah talks about how her grandmother told her, baby, I hope that one day you will grow up and work for some good white people. That was as far as her grandmother could see. What if Oprah had accepted her grandmother's version of reality? What I learned that, yes, when we are a certain age, yes, we listen to our elders, but then there's a point in time we have to realize, that some of our elders can only take us so far.
Sure.
I talked to a young lady, 30 years old, and she stopped going to school, and she was not pursuing her dream. Why? Because what her daddy didn't want her to.
Wow.
How many of you are still stuck because you got a dad, a parent, someone older than you that you respect, holding you in a box? We never grow out of, because we're told, listen to adults, listen to adults. These things were very personal to me because I realized that is what held me back from my significance. That's what I allowed to hold me back. So I want you to know that it's time out. Time is up for shrinking.
All right.
Time is up for shrinking. You no longer have to shrink. It's time to decide to shine. Say it with me. Decide to shine. Refuse to shrink. Decide to shine. Yes. Refuse to shrink. Decide to shine. I'm going to tell you a little story about how these two components really affected me. I went to my 20-year high school reunion. And I graduated at 12, so don't try to. I went to my 20-year reunion, and at the time, I was searching. I knew I was in a medical profession that I did love because I love helping people. Although I knew this is not it. This is not it. There's something more for me to be doing. This is good, but it's not it. So I want you to know, if you're watching me virtually, if you feel a pull, and somebody just said that. Somebody said, I can't remember who it was now, that if you know, if you're unsettled, and you know there's something more for you to do, that's because it is. It is. So there was a panel of alumni there, and they graduated different times, and this one lady, she was describing how she reinvented herself. And she was talking about how she embarked on, new territory, worked for this company, and she ended up developing skills and things in her she didn't even know she had. And she moved up in the company and really just did a 180. So I'm sitting there like, yes, she gets me. I want to do that too. I want to do something different too. Yes. And I could not wait to go up to her afterwards, to talk to her and thank her. So I went up to her and I said, thank you so much for sharing your story, because I too want to reinvent myself. And she talked about her children. I said, and I too have children. And that's when she stopped. And she looked at me and said, okay, dear. No, dear. You see, I waited until my children was out of the house before I did any of this. So you just need to focus on your children right now. You don't need to do any of this yet. You need to focus and raise your children first, and then pursue those things later. I remember going from feeling hopeful and encouraged to feeling deflated, exactly, defeated. Because she put a pin in my bubble that day. But you know what? I don't even blame her because that was her reality. That's what worked for her. But the lesson I learned is that what works for someone else don't necessarily work for you.
Come on.
And we are all, many of us are living according to someone else's truth. We're living our lives based on someone else's truth, someone else's version of the truth, someone else's experience. She could only give me what she had. But the most dangerous thing is not about her, is that I met a woman whose name I could not even tell you today. I could not even pick her out in a lineup, but I spent the next 6 years taking that advice from her.
Wow.
Trying to be content, thinking, wow, well maybe second guessing myself, feeling guilty that, well, maybe I shouldn't even be thinking this. Yeah, I do have children, and maybe that's what I should be doing. And what I learned is that when I went back to try to be content, and I looked to the left, they look content. I'm trying to be content. Look to the right, they look content. Okay, let me try to be content. It didn't work. Because once you sense significance, nothing else will satisfy. I want you to write that down. Once you sense significance, nothing else will satisfy. You can try to do something else. You can try to go back and conform. You can try to do and I did. I aligned with these people over here in this organization and do this and do that. And I learned I am a good mom, and I can be a good mom and pursue. You can be a good mom and pursue your dreams. Because that's not what I was called to do. I wasn't called to do her life. I was called to do mine. You weren't called to do anybody else's life. You were called to do yours. And what's so important that I want to tell you women, how many of you tell your children, you can do anything you want to do, baby. The sky's the limit. I want you to think, you look watching me virtually, do you tell your children that? You can do anything. But this is the revelation I got. How can I tell them that and I'm not living it? They don't see it they see every single day. They see you and me every single day. And you're busted and disgusted and discouraged and defeated. That is what they learn. That's what they see. That's what they duplicate. So I have a responsibility. You have a responsibility not to be small because of your children, but to step into your significance because of your children.
Come on.
Now that gives me another reason to not stay small. So I want you to say it again. Refuse to shrink.
Refuse to shrink.
Decide to shine.
Decide to shine.
I want you to decide to shine today. That you're not going to take another moment. But wherever you've been shrinking in your life, that you're making a decision that you are doing yourself and all of us a disservice.
That's true.
When you do not step into everything that you were called to step into. And to know that it's a right. You don't earn it. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. Who are you not to be brilliant, talented, gorgeous, fabulous? Who are you not to be? It's your right. It's your duty to do so. So I have learned that there are things in our lives that keep us small, and once you know better, you do better. You do better. So that is why the Amazing Women Network is here. That I know that there's significance in you. I know you want to be, do, and have more. And that is why we are on a ride. So I invite you, if you want to get in touch with me, text the number SHINE to 209-500-4296. You can find me on Facebook at Amazing Women Network. And I look so forward to seeing you shine. I look forward to talking with each and every one of you. And I want you to do 3 things. I want you to be purposeful, be powerful, and be amazing. Thank you.
They don't know this, but this is the best room in the hotel.
I know.
They don't know this room. We ain't had a disappointment yet.
Come on.
The sad news is that she was the last one to come out. Now, I want to ask you something before we close out today. How many of y'all listen to the BlackCEO Morning Show? Woo! That tells me everybody in this stand up, Danny. Right.
Y'all can do better.
For those of y'all who don't know, because y'all just see a graphic on the screen, Candace Camille is one of the hosts. Y'all see Ruben Weston's going, he's one of the hosts. Y'all have seen Dr. Stephanie Barnes in the other room, she's one of the hosts. I'm Barrett Matthews, I'm one of the hosts. We want to give a shout out to Marsha White, who I know she's watching. She does the morning minute. We want to give a shout out to Latia Taylor. And all the other contributors to the BlackCEO Morning Show, we want to thank you guys. But we want to make sure y'all watching, y'all listening right now. Y'all listening. So we want y'all to, one thing we want you to do, go to BlackCEOTribe.com. Go to BlackCEOTribe.com. Make sure that y'all are paying attention. Listen to the BlackCEO Morning Show. Cause God, man, y'all don't know.
So wait, Barry, you can't tell them, right? They not listening.
I said they don't know.
You gotta come on in.
Look, see, we here in the DC area, the newspaper, the Washington Post, they got a slogan. If you don't get it, you don't get it. So, y'all got to pay attention. It's Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys are listening to the BlackCEO Morning Show. You can't be a part of BlackCEO without listening to it. It's just mandatory.
Yeah.
It's mandatory. So we're going to make sure that you guys do that. For those of you who don't, like some of y'all came in and said, I'm Barrett Matthews. I'm a productivity and profits coach. What I do is to help y'all get things done to make sure you're not selling your time, you can sell your skill. Matter of fact, what I want to do is any of you, if you want to learn how to better sell your skill and stop selling your time, I want you to text the word strategy. Text the word strategy to 929-244-4323. I know I'm saying it again. Text the word strategy to 929-244-4323. 929-244-4323. And what you're going to get is a free strategy session where we're going to talk to you about how you can be more productive and stop selling your time and be able to sell your skill. Now, especially for those of you who listen to the BlackCEO Morning Show, y'all know how we drop the mic, how we close out the show, how we end the session. So we're going to do it the way we do it on the morning show. So when I count down, when I hit 0, I want you to say your name, I want you to say where you're from, and I want you to say BlackCEO. So here we go. We're going to count it down. When I get to 0, I want to hear it loud. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In the words of Eric B. It's a bang.
What's it? Swipe to say.
I gotta give you